Sponsored by Yahoo now.
Absolutely, and that's what we're going with here. The opening words by one Dave Loughran, sponsored by Yahoo. That's right. It is the Early Bird Podcast.
Oh, we were live, huh? Okay.
I had just hit the button.
I was just letting you know in case you forgot. But yeah, sponsored by Yahoo.
But we have a good one here. So you're going to get a bunch of different combinations. We had Adam. I did the show with him yesterday morning for the main slate on Sunday, and we went over this whole theory of how he and I were both – we independently – not invented it, but we've said this is the perfect one, where we said we're just playing three pitchers on that 5-game afternoon slate with Herman Marquez and Derek Holland and then Garrett Cole. And then we were going to mix and match our stacks on DraftKings. And I was giving him crap because he said he was flying home. I'm like, you never fly home when you say you're going to fly home. You're going to extend this trip. Sure enough, he extended the trip, but I think it was because he banked a couple tournaments there on the late slate. And I had the same lineups as him. Of course, I was in a much lower dollar player pool than he was, but I took down a couple of the small afternoon tournaments too. So it was a good night, but I'm assuming that's why he's extending his trip. Plus, we got Dan Strafford out and about with spring break. So you're going to get us here. We'll probably end up with the rare solo show by one of us, but you've got us here. We're going to try a different format tonight. We like to shake things up here just a little bit. So with there are 15 games on the slate. Yahoo and DraftKings and Fantasy Draft are all starting at 7:05. FanDuel has set up their main slate. They're going to include the two 6:30 games here, and that is something I was not expecting to see. So that gives us 30 pitchers that we got to look at, and there's a lot of moving parts here. So let's kind of focus on that. On the early slate, we'll just hit on these guys briefly, since there's not I've got the wrong filter up, since they're not on the majority of the slates here. But what do you like here among let's see, you've got James Paxton and Chris Sale squaring off against each other as the Mets and Yankees fire up their series, and then you've got Pittsburgh and Detroit, and then not as enticing pitchers. They're both solid, I guess, though, and Matt Boyd and Joe Musgrove. Amongst that quartet, does anybody stand out to you that you would want to look to on these this new expanded version of what FanDuel is doing?
I don't love the matchup for Matt Boyd, but I do believe in his stuff. I legitimately believe in Matt Boyd. I think his stuff is for real. And he's someone that we should really be paying close attention to. So the price is up there a bit for a matchup with the Pirates, who really don't strike out all that much. But I believe in Boyd's stuff, and he's not a guy that I have a whole lot of fun targeting against. Look, when you look at what he's doing, the strikeouts, obviously, what do you have, like a 14K? He had like it was a 14K game or something insane, 11 or 12. What was it? 13. He had a 10 and that's obviously the highest range of outcomes for Matt Boyd, and probably not something we probably see again this season. But I expect to see a lot of 7, 8, 9 strikeout games. You look at the whiff rate on the slider; it's 25%. That's a pitch he's throwing 35% of the time. Changeup is 17%. He's not really throwing that, actually, but when he has, he's gotten good results. And then the curve that he mixes in, he's also getting a ton of swing and misses. But the slider's been the pitch that has the biggest impact. And his four-seam fastball is getting a lot of missed bats. So I like Matt Boyd here. I don't think he's a bad tournament option, but you have so many pitching options here that it makes it tough. Joe Musgrove is also not a bad pitcher. I mean, this isn't a game that I'll look to target heavily from a hitting standpoint at all. Musgrove is a control guy. But, when you look at the prices, it's just you're going to have to pay quite a bit for these guys. Now, speaking of Paxton and Sale, Sale's velocity is troublesome, and I have an issue with it right now until that figures itself out. If it does, I'm sorry, but I won't be rostering him. If you want to do it in tournaments and say, look, I'm just going to roster him on the hopes that it turns around, not based on any metrics, but just on the hopes that it turns around, fine. But you just simply can't do it because there's something you see that you like. I'll give you a statistic that'll blow your mind, E-Mac.
I'm ready.
He has thrown the four-seam fastball 76 times this year. 76 times. He has one single swing and miss on 76 four-seam fastballs thrown. One single swing and miss. Mind you, this is a pitch that has induced 15% whiffs almost every year dating back to 2014. Whiff per swing rate on this pitch has been through the roof. his fastball is one of the best in the game when it's working. One swing and miss on 76 four-seamers thrown. That is an issue to me, and I'm definitely worried by it. And with Paxton, I like the guy. Again, tournament's fine, but Boston doesn't strike out, and it's not a great park. And he hasn't exactly looked stellar to start the year either. Four good pitchers on this early wave of games, but all of them either too pricey or in matchups I don't like, or the velocity concerns are too concerning for me to get there.
All right, that takes care of the early ones that are now the main slate. And by the way, I applaud the sites for doing different things. This is totally fine. More games.
I don't think it's necessary on a slate that has this many games.
Yeah, that would be the one thing. Unless what time does? Oh, I have an idea. What time does basketball start tomorrow?
There's 3 games tomorrow.
Yeah, there's 4. Oh, but there's 3 games tomorrow. I guess they don't start till 8. I thought maybe if they started at 7, they're trying to get people to do both, but that's not even the case there. In any event, one never knows what the sites are thinking. So embracing the remainder of our pitchers here, I was sad, Laffy. We don't get 2 Grays pitching on the slate together. They've already done that twice this year, but we have not 1, not 2, but 3 Lopez pitchers today. That's pretty crazy. I don't know that we've had 3 pitchers with the same last name on the same slate. And I always like to – I think it's funny with, you had Wade Miley and Wade LeBlanc going against each other the other day.
Yeah. And all 3 Lopez's suck, by the way.
Yes, and 2 of them are facing each other. So let's kind of start there. This will encompass the crappy pitchers, but we'll also hit on, hey, here's some pitch teams that you want to give a look at here as potential stacks as we futz around here with our fun little attempt at differentiating our strategy. So let me go here. So you got Jorge Lopez and Ronaldo Lopez squaring off. That game is going to be in Chicago, where game time temperature is going to be 47 degrees. That does not sound pleasant. Yeah, that's not really hitting weather, but with these 2 pitchers taking the bump here, Laffy, I think we still have to give these offenses consideration. It looks like there's an early cross breeze going across third base to first base in the 6 to 9 mile an hour range here. You've got Jorge Lopez is going for the Royals. He's 6,200. Ronaldo Lopez, of course, he was part of the Adam Eaton trade. He came over from the Washington Nationals along with Lucas Giolito, and I forget who the other guy was, but has struggled, to say the least. These offenses aren't filled with household names, but they look like these batters could be in good spots. And the implied run totals, 4.5 and 4.6, are not going to pop off the page in anybody here. I think we could get some intriguing, potentially our secondary stacks, our differentiation stacks from this game. Which pitcher do you like the least?
Of all 3 Lopez's, are you saying?
The 2 facing each other. Jorge and Ronaldo.
None of these Lopez's do I have any faith in. Ronaldo Lopez, though, the guy's not good. He's allowed 6 home runs over his last 2 starts alone. He's going to have some serious power problems. He doesn't miss a lot of bats, particularly against lefties. I have plenty of interest in going against Ronaldo Lopez here. 0 interest in playing either Lopez. Jorge Lopez is not someone that is going to routinely get you enough strikeouts. And I mean, the White Sox aren't, really a power packed offense. So if you are looking to go, if you're MMing and you're looking to get like low exposure to a cheap pitcher, Jorge Lopez isn't the craziest idea because the White Sox are going to strike out quite a bit against lefty or against righties. But I mean, he's not someone that's going to stand out to you as someone that is a really strong play. And then with Ronaldo Lopez, he allowed 14 stolen bases last year. He's already allowed 2 this year. I'd say semi-average in that respect. Kevin Smith's not behind the plate anymore, so that will probably help him a little bit. But Wellington Castillo isn't going to make his life that much easier either. So big base stealing matchup here against Ronaldo Lopez, and also power for guys like Ryan O'Hearn and Lucas Duda and Jorge Soler in the middle of that lineup.
All right. So yeah, those are going to be 2 of the offenses that we look to there. I'm just looking at the other implied run totals. Not a ton of high ones here on this particular slate. Random question for you: have you noticed that they don't at least the last few nights, have not been posting a Texas run total. Is that just because they've been having a lot of wins down there, or is there some reason?
I've definitely noticed that there hasn't been one. I had no idea, I guess you're referencing the potential that we're seeing a Wrigley type situation here where
the wind's blowing in. At first I thought, when it wasn't there last night, I thought, oh, they don't know if Mike Trout's playing and maybe he is.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
But it's looking like they don't have it posted again. And then there was one other day they didn't have it posted. So I didn't know if there's something.
I have no idea. I've noticed, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's been a bunch of wind there, but I highly doubt that's, I've never seen I've never seen any Vegas lines influenced or kept off the board like they do with Wrigley on any other park.
Right. Okay. They're just random thing, right?
Yeah.
But I know you look at that stuff, so I figured if someone had it filed away of there being a possibility, it would be you. Look into our third Lopez here. You've got Pablo Lopez. He's going against the Cubs. Cubs are coming in with the 4.7 implied run total here. So Pablo Lopez, I guess the better of the trio of Lopez's. He has closer to a 20% strikeout rate. The other guys are in the 15-16% range. So again, as Lofty mentioned, these guys aren't that great. Moving to the one other gas can that I don't really want us to play, but I think we want to look to, and then we'll talk about the high-end pitchers, but I think we want to look towards Tampa Bay Rays going against Dylan Bundy. Another bad start. The Rays have a somewhat revamped lineup. There are not a lot of household names here, Dave, but they've got some sneaky power. You've got Austin Meadows, already has a 2-home-run game. You've got Brandon Lowe's got a 2-home-run game. Yi-Man Choi's got power. Tommy Pham is great in righty-righty matchups. Yandy Diaz has the boomstick, as the kids like to say. Avisel Garcia is fine in righty-righty matchups. I'm liking the Rays. And when was the last time you saw them have a home implied run total of 5?
Yeah, it's rare, and Bundy's one of these guys who, the truth is, he's the type of guy that you could stack against him, and he goes out there and tosses 6 scoreless perfect innings. But the biggest thing with Dylan Bundy is when he is struggling, the home runs come in bunches, and that's exactly what we're looking for. I think you're spot on with this. Like I said, though, it could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Bundy gets back on track. Mm-hmm. But he allowed 41 home runs last year, Emac. 41 home runs.
Yeah, and well ahead of the rest of the field. Like, it wasn't even close.
Right, not even close. I mean, hell, you look at his 31 starts, right? And you take the amount of home runs that he's allowed this year. If he were to make the same amount of starts, he'd be on pace for 62 home runs allowed. Look, obviously not saying that's going to be the case. And by the way, Bundy's strikeout stuff has still been electric this year. But we don't care if you're going to strike out, fine. Get some strikeouts. I mean, obviously you'd rather him be a contact pitcher. But when you're giving this much power up, I think everyone's okay with it. 5.4 home runs per 9 to righties this year. That's relevant because last year Bundy allowed 2.33 home runs per 9 to righties, but also struck them out at 31%, which again is why I'm saying you could have a great Bundy game or an absolute disaster, or 8 strikeouts and 3 home runs. So I'm with you. I like Tampa Bay bats a lot here. There's no star-studded lineup at all, but Meadows has been phenomenal. But the thing is, don't forget about these righty bats. Like, he will struggle a lot against righties. And just while we're on the subject, I've been a Tyler Glasnow truther for a long time now.
Absolutely.
I believe in him. He is not cheap. Totally understand that you'd have to pay for Tyler Glasnow. But I believe in his stuff. He's a hard throwing pitcher. Not a base stealing matchup that concerns me as much, which is a big issue when you're 8 feet tall. But I think Glasnow once again has an opportunity to have a really solid game. Only concern, Emac, is he hasn't thrown more than 85 pitches in 3 starts, and he has been electric in all of them. So is there some type of limit that we're seeing here? If that's the case, that scares me a lot because I can't have a guy be on a leash when you're paying $10K plus for him.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm just doing a quick check. He is 10-6 on FanDuel as well. So he's the second most
on DraftKings too.
Yeah, I saw him up there on DraftKings. Let's see where Yahoo is. He is third most on Yahoo. He's 43. So a little more palatable there if we're looking at
43 is not bad. In context, Trevor Bauer was 55 yesterday, so not bad.
Yeah, and Strasburg's 47 there, and that's the guy we're going to go to next. We have your mileage may vary when it comes to Strasburg here. I've just been feeling more and more, over the last few seasons, we get to the point of where we kind of, stop paying for a lot of the expensive pitchers because the safety is just not there for them or the consistency. I'm seeing that already this year. I mean, we've seen Sale knocked around. Strasburg's, he went negative in the last game. We've seen
Aaron Nola's been tuned up.
Syndergaard has.
Kluber's been tagged a bunch of times. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Carrasco in the last time. I mean, Carrasco was like, I'm paying 5 figures for this.
Yep. What about Scherzer? Scherzer's been mildly okay for his price point, not really even.
Yeah. So it's one of those where I'm just not feeling the safety, and I think baseball has changed enough with the way the hitters approach things and what pitchers are doing that it's not quite like what it once was, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So just one of the things that I've kind of noticed. But let's talk about Strasburg here. He is kind of the cream of the crop amongst what we're looking at. He gets this tasty matchup here against the San Francisco Giants, who of course are on the road, which gives them a park upgrade no matter where they are. But this one here is one where I'm intrigued by Strasburg, and that's just because the rest of these guys, there's not a lot of power in this San Francisco lineup. There's more strikeouts than what we're used to be seeing here, and they're going to need to get on base, and I don't know that they're going to do that against Strasburg. As long as he has reasonable stuff, he does a pretty good job of having his control, and he doesn't allow a ton of walks. This is the perfect matchup for him. I just still get nervous with Steven Strasburg. But what do you like or dislike about Strasburg at the top of our choices?
Okay, so San Francisco, we obviously like that a lot. Now, look, I'm with you in terms of getting nervous, and it's a huge slate. Like, do you need to pay this much? Probably not. I don't think you need to. The Giants, though, here's one thing. Against lefties, they really don't strike out. Against righties, you are going to get a decent amount of strikeouts here. This year, striking out at the 8th highest clip against righties. Last year, the Giants were striking out, I think, like somewhere towards the bottom, but you're seeing a bit of a different team and really no pop whatsoever. I don't have an issue with Strasburg. Do I think he's a must-play option here? No, I don't, because like you said, you don't always have to pay up for these guys. And, I mean, guys like John Gray have ample upside. John Gray, I think he's back to where he should have been. I also think he was highly unlucky in a lot of spots last year. He's going to face San Diego, and while they've definitely improved their offense, they strike out a good amount, and he's 8,700. So I think there are definite pivots here if you didn't want to pay all the way up top.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy that's standing out to me that unless people look at him a little more closely is Jose Quintana, because he's got a 5.14 ERA, a 1.7 whip. Those are just awful numbers, but you look a little deeper. He's got 22, and for him, this is a lot. He's got 22 strikeouts in 14 innings. He has a 38 fantasy point performance with 11 strikeouts in his last start against Pittsburgh. He got his ass handed to him in Milwaukee by the Brewers, gave up 8 runs, 3 home runs, was just an absolute mess. He only made it 76 pitches. But then the game before that, he had 8 strikeouts against the Rangers in just 4 innings. Has he done anything different with his pitch mix or his approach to get this many strikeouts in fewer innings for him? Because he's usually, he's like, oh, he's all right when he plays, in some of the matchups that he's in the NL or AL Central where he's been throughout his career. He's okay at strikeouts, not quite 1 per inning. This is like, is this either noise or is he one of the guys that's changed something?
Sorry, who are you mentioning?
Oh, sorry, Jose Quintana.
Sorry, I was watching Aaron Nola give up another run. He is not right. It's crazy. 3 runs for Aaron Nola already. He's not right. I don't know. He's really in trouble. It's interesting with Quintana. 11 Ks against Pittsburgh. Damn. 8 Ks against Texas, like you said. I don't know. But I do know that it's Miami. They're a terrible team. They're completely unimposing from top to bottom in this game's at Marlins Park. I generally do not like Jose Quintana. And by the way, I'll just full disclosure, I haven't looked into I haven't looked into his pitch mix yet. We'll take a much deeper look into that. But I can pull it up right now, and it looks like this is a weird thing. Way less fast four-seamer and more two-seamer. That generally equates to less strikeouts.
Right.
Let's see what his whiff rate is on these pitches. Yeah, his four-seamer whiff rate is up. The changeup, which he throws about 10% of the time, and the curveball, just a quick look here. Curveball getting a ton of missed swinging strikes. We could, look, I'd have to look more into movement on the pitches and how all of that looks. But yeah, it looks like the movement on almost all of these pitches is pretty much. Let's see if horizontal movement. Yeah, more movement on the curveball. Horizontal movement though. Who knows? It's worth looking into for sure. And I'd want to see. It's unlikely that he just got lucky with a ton of called strikeouts. But, is he getting a ton of bats swinging over? 12% swinging strike rate so far, though. So something looks good. Let's, maybe take a deeper look into what that is. Last thing I'll check, what's his velocity? His velocity is exactly the same, too. So I don't know.
All right. You
Good
know what
question,
that
though, for sure. Good
says
question.
to me, he's doctoring the ball somehow, Luffy.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. We'll hit a couple more here. Aaron Sanchez, decent opportunity here for him at 7,300 for an SP2. He is going against Minnesota. Again, another game there in the 50s. You've got Robbie Ray, who I like, but terrifies me going against Atlanta. So I'm not really going to be considering him. Kyle Gibson, your mileage may vary, but Toronto has just been awful this year at the plate. Any of these names popping out for you? Jack Flaherty's nice. I don't want to tangle with the Milwaukee Brewers, though, with their fully healthy lineup full of lefties with Shaw, Moustakas, Yelich. Thames isn't a lefty, but is Thames a lefty? No, I'm forgetting. He's back anyway from his absence. You got Yasmani Grondahl. So a lot of question marks with these guys. Nobody else really standing out. But as we cruise on out of here, maybe you like those guys or a John Gray going against the Pod Squad, the Beebs going against Seattle. Anything else?
I definitely like Gray. I mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. I definitely like John Gray. And Kyle Gibson he's Glass now is my project. Of course, not my project. I'm not making him pitch better or worse, but guys that I just believe will ultimately be better, and I will be right about them. I believe that Gibson will get there. I believe someone will get in his ear and say, hey, you have a really good trio of off-speed stuff. Even if you just want to use two of them, use them more. Just use them more. His slider for 5 straight years has a 20% whiff rate or higher. His changeup, 18% or higher in 4 straight years going back to 2015. Like these are wild whiff rates. And yeah, I reference whiff rate a lot because it's super important for pitchers. Like you need to get them swinging over or getting missed pitch. With Gibson, the biggest thing is being able to put the batters away. And I would love to see him use less of that two-seamer, but the strikeout upside is there. I mean, it's definitely there. It's can you finally find a way to put these batters away? Because if he does, I truly believe that he's going to have some really good strikeout stuff, and we're going to get him at a nice discount for a while. Consider this. He has a 12% swinging strike rate. Last year, 11.5%. The tools are there for Kyle Gibson to go out there and give you a 10 strikeout game. They are there. He just needs to piece it all together. So against a Toronto offense that has been, dismal, and that might be putting it nicely, I think at 6,400 on DraftKings, to me, it's not a crazy idea to say, yeah, we could get a really strong game from Gibson. No one's going to play him because why would you want to play Gibson? But if you really look into the numbers, there's enough there to suggest that he could be okay. And then I guess I'll just throw him out there because of how bad Cleveland's been. Mike Leake is inexpensive as well. Not a guy that I really believe in his stuff, but I could see him going out there, going 7 innings, limiting them to 1 run and striking out 5 with the win. It's not a crazy idea. AT&T Park is also very pitcher friendly.
T-Mobile Park.
What did I say? AT&T?
That's okay.
Oh yeah. It's
okay.
So Safeco changed to T-Mobile, AT&T changed to Oracle.
Yes.
But yeah, hey, it's a cellular phone company. I was spot on.
You were close. I threw out Comiskey Park on the earlier show, and then I'm like, wait, isn't that Guaranteed Rate Field or is some?
And of course I named the one that you're a fan of. But yeah, I had just got, because the first week of the season, I was still calling it AT&T and still calling it Safeco. So I'd gone through to make sure that I had got them all down pat. So thank you for the correction.
Yeah, no, that's quite all right. It's tricky. It's tricky. Tough business world out there these days. But with that, we're going to hop on out of here. You can, of course, get all the game-by-game breakdown with, let's see, it's Tuesday. So that'll be you, Laffy, and most likely Josh Engelman. That'll be at 9:15 over there on the Osmo YouTube channel. You'll have the deep dive article coming out in the afternoon from Adam. We'll have the deeper dive show with Adam and Laffy. You guys going to start a little earlier with the big slate, 4:45 maybe?
Yeah, with basketball, anytime it was 9 or more games, we'd start at 4:45 because it takes longer to break those games down in depth with rotations and minutes. We decided with baseball, if it's more than 12 games, so basically Tuesdays and Fridays will mostly be starting at 4:45, and all the other days I think we'll be pretty good starting at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a little easier to go through baseball
for sure.
Basketball, because you don't have to guess at all the different matchups and what changes are they going to make and who's hurt and who's not. Baseball a little tamer in that respect. And then of course you're going to have live before lock, and then you've got Fast City Fear also live before lock for NBA. So we got you covered. Check it out. Lots of fun over there. If you have not yet signed up, you can use the promo code EARLYBIRD, all one word, to get 50% off any 1-month package. And shout out to Yahoo sponsoring the Early Bird podcast now. If you use promo code OSMO over there for your first DFS deposit at Yahoo, you will get $30 matched in Yahoo player points, and those are usable immediately in any contest. With that, you could follow Dave at Laffy_D on Twitter.
Pride Laffy. It's a guy that's created his account in 2007 and hasn't tweeted since 2008. And when he did, it would say he would put his own handle in there. Laffy is going to the store. No one liked it. Nobody cared. He has 8 followers. Last time I looked, 5 of them thought they were following me. And I tried to contact him like, hey, what can I do to get this? Of course he didn't respond because he doesn't know he has a Twitter account. Ridiculous, let me tell you.
That is. I'm at EMAC DFS, and I'm closing in on 10,000. Laffy, nice. I'm about 60 away. I laugh. Yeah.
I'm going to unfollow you.
There you go. Yeah. So let's see if we can make that number go down. But I was laughing.
When Adam hit 5,000, he had put it in chat in one of our private chats, and I immediately unfollowed him. And I told Josh to do that just because.
Absolutely.
And then followed him right back, of course. But it was funny to see it go down to 4,999.
That is pretty good. But yeah, my wife and I were laughing because we remember when I hit 2,000, because that's about the size of our towns respectively growing up. So it's like, holy cow.
5 of your town's worth. Not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But with that, we're going to get on out of here. Good luck, gamers.